You know, I hope Joe can find those parts for us that we're looking
Well,
for.
got a good day for it anyway.
I hope so. Well, hello and welcome to Shadetree Mechanic. You know, Sam and I are like a lot of you do-it-yourselfers out there. One of our favorite places to find parts is at the wrecking yard, or the junkyard, if you will. Well, today we're going to show you what it's all about.
You know, there's a lot of great parts at the wrecking yards, especially for late model cars that are wrecked or something that only have 10,000 miles or so on them. Those are good parts. Think of it as recycling. One of the things you don't want to do in a wrecking yard is buy things like old water pumps and stuff off of 10, 12-year-old cars, because that's not going to do you any good. But they're also a great source for parts for like antiques and so on, where the parts haven't been made for a long time, like the emergency brake parts for my Chevy truck.
You bet you're right. You know what? One of the first things you want to do before you go to a wrecking yard is make a list of the parts that you need, because it's real easy to get sidetracked over there.
That makes sense.
Well, one of the things we got here is a right lens for an Escort.
Right.
I think you're looking for an alternator for a late model GM.
Right, a cruise control
and a cruise servo.
Right.
And an AC compressor for a Probe. Good luck on that one.
Well, if I find a late model one.
And an 88 Escort rack and pinion. I'm real tough on my Escort. Plus, we got a tip for you where to find all the oddball parts like door handles and window cranks and pins and latches and
Pedal
all
pads.
this kind of stuff. It's from the helpline, a Motor Mite.
And we're going to buy that stuff brand new because it's good and serviceable and know it'll work. And by the way, when you go to the wrecking yard, make sure you bring your toolbox.
That's a good point, and make sure you put in metric tools, gloves, rags, even hand cleaner, because you never know what you might need. Well, are you ready to go to the wrecking yard? Well, let's go. We're going to have an adventure.
All right, put your belt on.
Throw in the adjustable wrench.
We got everything we need, yep.
Hey, Billy, how are
Bill.
you? Good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a nice day for this, too. Good thing.
Now, Joe, I'm still looking for that Jaguar rear end. Have you gotten any leads or anything on it yet?
No, I haven't yet. I've looked a lot of places, but no luck.
I know, those things are hard to come by, and you really need it. So if you keep
We're
your
still
eye
looking.
open, keep checking. Folks, I'd like for you to meet Joe Mullins. He and his family own this parts yard here, and believe me, they're good people to know. They've helped us out of a lot of scrapes trying to find hard-to-locate parts in cars and this type of thing.
Sure have.
Appreciate
Sure.
that.
Since I was here last year, I see you got a lot of late model stuff. You got a Taurus wagon, a little Dakota pick-em-up truck.
Yeah, a little
That's pretty
lady.
good.
Hey, you driving that, Joe? Because that
No.
looks like in pretty good shape. It doesn't look like it belongs here.
No, it's hitting the front. It's got a lot of miles on it, so I'm just going to part it out, I think.
Well, that's a nice shape there.
Hey, I see some drive axles. Excuse me, let me go look at these.
Joe, you know, a lot of people come to parts yards. They don't know quite what to expect. It sort of intimidates them a little bit.
Sure.
So what should people expect when they come to a yard like this, and what do you expect out of them?
Well, it helps a lot of times when they have their old part. If they need an alternator, bring their old alternator. You know, it's good to exchange them anyway. We'll take them for exchange, and, you know, we can match them up and get them what they want.
Now, do you have a lot of those pulled off the car, so when they come in, you can just go to the shelf and pull it off?
Sure, we have a lot.
Plus, like, you can send them out to the yard and they can pull it off the car.
They're
themselves.
welcome to look at the car, sure.
So they can
What
check
about
out what
pricing?
they're getting.
When someone comes in and asks for a part, what do you do for pricing? How do you come up with a price?
Well, on the older cars, you know, we'll deal with them on it. You know, like if it's a 70s model, they're going out of date, you know, it won't help us much. On late model cars, we've got a pricing book in there, the Hollander books, and we'll go by sometimes half price or less.
You can say 50% a list, that's a pretty good deal.
Sure.
I tell you what, folks, though, he'll negotiate. If you squeeze him tight enough, he'll negotiate.
Yeah, but he's good. I've seen him in action.
You know, one of the things you do need when you come to a yard is a shopping list, and we have ours right here.
And we've got our supermarket right out here.
Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to do some shopping, so stay with us.
Let's go look at that late model. Is that a LeSabre or an Electra?
LeSabre, it's still in the same spot
over
down
the
there.
same area?
90 mile, yeah.
There are more than 11,000 salvage yards operating in the U.S.
Look at this little 87 or 88
It's like the
Century.
vehicle we've been looking for.
It's good and clean, too. Hit on the right side.
Nice car.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to Shadetree Mechanic. You know, this is the type of vehicle that you need to look for when you're in a parts yard.
Watch out.
Let me give you a hand
When
here.
you
on
get
that.
into a yard and you've got the hood support is weak, take a pair of vice grips, clamp them right on there. That'll hold your hood open and won't get you.
Okay, now, this is what we're talking about. This car has been damaged over here on the other side. That means the whole front end is in good shape. That means if you're looking for a complete engine or any of these components, this is the type of vehicle you want to look for. Now, it's a fairly new car.
87
I think
right
it's
here by the
fairly
label.
low mileage. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's about 29,000 miles, so the mileage is low. That means we have a pretty good source for parts right here.
Yeah, it'll be a complete engine that runs. Look at this alternator. Now, this is a
We've been looking for that.
high-dollar GM Xena diode alternator. If you had to buy one of these from General Motors, you pay about probably over $200 exchange reman.
I wonder what Joe will give that to us for.
Well, at least less than
He
half.
said half?
That's right.
We might be able to get him down even farther.
Really?
You know, one of the things that you want to use in a parts yard is penetrating oil. This is indispensable here.
The alternator looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yep, it is. And you know, you take a chance on electrical components, but with a car this new, chances are that's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, with this little mileage on it. Also, it's got a cruise servo here. You know that little Cutlass Sierra we were working on?
Mm-hmm.
It's got a 2.5 liter. It'll be the same cruise if the number's the same, which it looks like it is. Okay. This cruise servo will work on that cruise control, and we're going to take it off bracket. I'll need a 10mm wrench.
Okay, hold on here. Here you go.
Okay.
See if that'll work.
Yeah. And pull these off first. Vacuum lines. I'm going to take bracket and all. Look at this. That looks like a pretty new.
What is this?
It's a Mitsubishi, probably a Mirage.
Mirage. I'll take your word for it. I don't recognize them anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's a 12-valve Mitsubishi motor. And look at this. It's like brand new in here. It's clean. How many miles on this thing, Dave?
It is brand new. 2,900 miles on this.
Hasn't even had its first service yet. Now, this is the kind of engine you want to find. 2,900 miles. It's complete. And I mean, they've got all kinds of good usable components.
Even it's brand new in it, including the battery.
If this battery's not cracked, yeah, that'd be an incredible little find.
Hey, Sam, look at this over here. Here's another one, I believe. I think it is a Mitsubishi.
Yep, it's the same car. It's the same engine.
Taking the hood off of it, taking the windshield out of it.
Yeah.
It's like another parts car.
Well, we got another complete Mitsubishi 12-valve engine, and of course it's got overhead cam, multi-port electronic fuel injection. You got a throttle position sensor, 4 injectors on your fuel rail. Then over here, we've got in the air cleaner housing hidden on these Mitsubishis, there's a real expensive part. This is your mass airflow sensor. I'll pull this back a little ways and see if we can see it. That little hot wire mass airflow sensor, that's a pretty impressive sensor, and it's expensive, probably $600 or $700. I wonder what Joe would want for that in the junkyard. Hey, Joe, come on over here for a second if you got a minute. And of course, there's a lot of other usable parts here. You got some wire harnesses, you got a wiper motor, you got a master cylinder booster assembly.
Yeah.
Mass airflow sensor. Okay, these things probably cost about $700 in the dealership, $600-700. What would you sell that for?
$150.
$150.
Sure.
So therefore, you'd save like $550.
Yeah, from the dealer cost.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a good deal.
And let's take a look at our little Volkswagen here. You know, it's not in bad shape. It's a pretty good parts car. It's got good seats inside. They'd make a good replacement for somebody who's doing a street rod or something like that. Now let's take a look at this 75 Chevrolet Malibu. You know, there's literally millions of these across the country. Sam and I am going to give you a little tip, and here's what we're talking about. Let's look inside. You see this right here, this door panel? See this belt, the window crank right here? It's missing the knob. A lot of times the door latch is broken. The knob here is missing on the back side of it. This handle a lot of time is broken off. You can go to a wrecking yard, get the parts, and try to replace them. Chances are what you're getting isn't any better than what you're replacing it with. Here's the tip. Sam and I do this. We'll stop by a parts store and we'll pick up brand new replacement items. This is from the helpline of MotorMite. This is a brand new replacement window crank. We also have the door lever here. This is what'll fit right here. And Help also makes a complete mechanism on the inside so that you don't have to use any of the old stuff. So you can have complete brand new pieces on your car. It saves you a lot of time, saves you a lot of money. So don't even think about getting this old junk, get the new stuff. Now over here on our Cutlass, I want to show you something. Incidentally, when you're working in a parts yard like this, make sure you wear heavy shoes and long pants because walking around in here can be a little tough. Now here's what I wanted to show you, the gear shift lever knob. A lot of times these will break or fall off. Help has a complete replacement line of these. Now here on the inside of the door, something else I want to show you. The electric window switches, they have a complete line of these. Even brake pedal pad replacements. And right here, this isn't something you want to replace out of the junkyard. This is something that Help has brand new replacement items for the speed control or cruise control lever. And right here, how many times have you seen these door pulls either broken or missing, or the trim missing? They have a complete line of those. In fact, they've got a catalog just full of nuts, bolts, clips, fasteners, all different types of material in there. If you need it, chances are they have it. I'll show it to you when we get back to the garage.
What we've got here is a little 78 MG Midget, and really the interior is not in bad shape for a car that's been in the junkyard. You know, if you've got some rotted seats, these are vinyl and they can be dyed. Door panels aren't too bad. Not a bad little car. Let's take a look in the trunk. Sometimes it's fun to look in the trunk in a junkyard. Oh, we got a whole bunch of stuff in here that's left behind. Some old sheepskin seat covers, but here's an important thing. This is the tonneau cover. When you've got the top down on one of these little sports cars, this covers up your seats and interior in case it rains out. Makes it easy to get in and out of. And there's all kinds of neat stuff. Look at this. The original owner's manual. Tells who this car was owned by and probably got all its life history in that. That's pretty interesting. And of course, we're going to take a look underneath the hood, see if there's any usable parts under here, see if it's already been maybe had the junkyard cut put on it. Okay, well, we got a basic 4-cylinder engine. Seems to be pretty much intact, except it's had a carburetor conversion. The original Stromberg or SU carburetor that it came with, being a 78, was probably a Stromberg, been replaced by a 2-barrel, downdraft Weber and manifold. So there's some parts for you. And you got a lot of other hard parts that you may want. So there's some things here that are available. And then looking down the yard, I see a Taurus over here, a Nissan station wagon, some Ford pickups, a lot of stuff we can look at.
You know, this does make your basic little old parts car here. It's not bad.
Yeah, this is something an MG owner would want.
Yep, I guess so. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue with our tour through the parts yard, so stay with us. Got your tool tray there?
Anything we need off this Taurus?
No, I don't think so. Automotive dismantling and recycling generates $4 billion in annual sales.
Well, we're continuing our tour through the junkyard here. Here's a 80 model Pontiac Bonneville wagon. We got a VW Golf 2-door, been hit pretty hard in the front. Here we got a Thunderbird. Looking for some V8 parts. Let's see what this has got for an engine. This has got the 3.8 V6, not much I need here. Did you find anything, Dave?
Yeah, I sure did, Sam. I found this lens I was looking for.
Oh, great.
Hey, welcome back to Shadetree Mechanic. Now, I broke the lens in my Escort the other day, and I went and I checked the dealership to see what these things cost. They're about $60, so I thought I'd save a few dollars here. Now, usually, you got to be careful when you pull these things off so you don't break it. They'll just snap right in. But usually, when you pull these off, the parts yard wants you to take the whole assembly. Well, Joe's a friend of ours, and he's going to give me a break. Let me just take the lens. But you can see right in here, there's some dum-dum. You can see it right in here. This is what seals it, and there's some clips here.
You know, you can buy that dum-dum in the parts store and strip caulk, they call it.
That's a good point. That's a lot better to do than try to peel this old stuff out of here. But I got a lens, and it's in real good shape, and I'm going to save a few dollars on it.
Boy, I tell you, I just love walking through the junkyard, seeing all this stuff. Look at this. What we got here is this is a mini spare out of a late model car. Now, if you've had a flat and had to use your mini spare, you know, they don't last very long. Of course, you shouldn't drive on them very far, but you can come here and buy a brand new one for probably $10 or $15. You don't have to go to the dealer. Now, over here, we've got 1, 2, 3 Chevrolet Corvairs. Now, this is probably about a 60 or 61 model. It's a 4-door. It's kind of an old tub. It weren't much of a car, but this is neat. This is like about a 65. And it's a little 2-door coupe. Oh, it's got a 4-speed transmission. It's a Corsa. Now, the Corsa was a pretty neat little car. It's a performance model of the Corvair. It says right here on the deck lid, or actually on the hood, 140 horsepower with the flags. That meant we had a performance engine. Here we had, of course, the same thing, 6-cylinder air-cooled flat. Some of the carburetors are missing, but the air cleaner parts are still here. This was 4 carburetors. That meant also it had a gauge package where it had tachometer and all kinds of gauges. This was a really high-performance little Corvair, and some Corvair owner would sure love to get the parts out of this. And over here, I see the world's ugliest car, a 1960 Dodge Seneca. Remember back when they had cars with the forward look? If you could believe it. Look at this thing, chrome hanging out all over it, reverse fins. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Of course, this was push-button drive, if you remember that. I don't, but Dave can remember that. Under the hood here, we've got your basic 225 cubic inch inline 6-cylinder or slant 6. And for the size of this car, if you look, you got one belt, one V-belt for the alternator. By the way, that's the first year for the alternator. And no power steering, no power brakes, no air conditioning. You know, they say they don't make them like they used to, and I say thank goodness because these cars were bad.
You know, this truck looks almost new. And it smells new, too.
It is new. It only has 600 miles.
600 miles? Oh, that's too bad because this was a beauty and it took a shot up here. I bet you somebody's really disappointed.
I would say.
Now, you wouldn't park this out, would you, Joe?
No, I'll sell this as a whole.
Now, who would you sell this to? I mean, who would buy something like this?
Someone that's into body work or a hobbyist or knows someone, you know, that does this kind of work.
Somebody's got the skill enough and the equipment enough to do this.
Sure.
Because you'd probably have to cut this off in here and straighten the frame and get all new sheet metal and put on it.
Sure.
You got a pretty good sized project here on your hands. Now, how much would this cost? How much would you sell this for?
As a whole, it run about $4,000.
And what would it take to bring it like back to new condition?
Well, if you can find some used parts stuff, around $1,500, $2,000.
So for about $6,000, then you could have almost a brand new truck.
Sure.
If you had the skill.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a nice little truck, but I was back there eyeballing it. This thing's really bent over, so it needs some frame
Well, we've
straightening
got
for
shoved
sure.
over quite a bit, no question about it.
No kidding. One other thing you'll find in a good salvage yard, most of the time, what they'll have is something like this. It's a storage shed. Now, this happens to be an old trailer, but they'll have any kind of a storage shed. And what they'll store in it is all kinds of things like, here's a gearbox. This is a 4-speed transmission out of a '88 Toyota pickup truck, 2-wheel drive. If you had a transmission go bad, rather than trying to spend the time and money to get it overhauled, you might take a chance. Joe told me he'd take about $400, $450 for something like this. Not a whole bunch more work than changing a clutch, and that could get you out of a jam. If you need something like an aluminum cylinder head, you overheat your engine and crack it, here's a perfectly good used head, and this is a quad 4 16-valve head, a very expensive one, and you could buy this in the junkyard, take it to the machine shop, have the valves ground, and get ready to put it on. If you had something more drastic, like this is a '89 Toyota Camry, and you know there's a lot of Camrys on the road. This is a 2-liter 16-valve engine, very expensive engine. If you had engine trouble on a high-mileage Camry, it may not be worth in an '88, '89 having the engine rebuilt. You buy a used engine, you have it installed. This would cost you about $600, $700. You probably spend another $3 or $4 having it professionally installed. But remember, of course, that's a used engine. There's not, there's no guarantee it's going to work great. It's not a new engine, and you take your chances, but it may get you out of a jam.
That's right. And you know what? This isn't the only thing they take out of cars. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
And, as you look around here, you see all kinds of engines and transmissions. He's got gearboxes out of Hondas and so on. So this is the kind of stuff that you can find.
Okay, now, Joe, what else you got? This is okay, but I'm looking for something a little bit better.
I've got this JVC AM/FM cassette. Just brought
Okay, now
in.
that's more what I'm looking
Sure.
for. All right, now, folks, we were telling you they pull more than just engines and transmissions out of these cars. They pull the radios.
Yeah.
And this is where you store them, right here in the
Sure
office,
is.
right? Got to keep your eye on them.
That's right.
How much you want for this?
$50.
I'll consider that one. Now, one other item that I'm looking for is a rack and pinion for an '88 Escort.
88 Escort.
You got that?
We'll look it up in the Hollander and see if we do. See if we
Okay,
can cross
now,
over on.
all right, if you don't have it in there, then what can you do
I've
for
got a
me?
line here that goes to 25 other places. We'll just get on it, and in a couple of minutes we'll have one.
So I got to source the 25 other parts yards?
Sure.
All with the phone, right?
All at one stop.
All right, let's see if we got it. Let's check
All right.
this out.
That was an 88 Escort.
88 Escort, right.
I believe the
GT.
links will cross over with that, but I'm not sure. We need to check.
All right, what I've done here is I've removed this compressor. It's a pretty expensive little compressor. It's Japanese made with a clutch built into it. Of course, everything on these probes, this is a 1990 Ford probe, everything on them is pretty highly specialized. For example, an alternator for this car, which is already gone off this one, costs about $500 from Ford. Now over here we've got a Dodge Conquest TSI, and this is a hatchback. And look at this hatchback. It's in good shape, got good lift supports, a good glass with a rear defogger and a windshield wiper. This will also fit things like a Mitsubishi Turbo Starion. This would be a good place to get something like this.
Hey, Sam.
Yeah.
Come on, ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Give me a hand with these tools.
All right.
I'm having a lot of fun, bud.
I know that you are.
Okay.
All right, we got everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about new products, so stay with us.
Hey, before we go, there's a 49 Chevy pickup truck over there.
Over there.
I need the e-brake lever.
Let's go get it.
Let's go get them.
Over 8 million vehicles a year are processed by the U.S. salvage industry. These vehicles are rebuilt, scrapped, or dismantled. Well, welcome back to Shadetree Mechanic. Remember that catalog I was telling you about? Let me see if I can find it over here. Here it is. This is the Motormite catalog. This is the one that has the help section in it. And I'm telling you, this has everything you'd ever want. Look at this. It's got all kind of clips, nuts and bolts in it. All the oddball things that when you break, where do you find them? This is where you find them.
And look at some of the stuff that we've got here today. We picked up a turn signal cruise lever for a Chevrolet, and that'll save us some time and money there.
And here's that brake pedal pad that we were talking about.
And we picked up the infamous Ranger cigarette lighter assembly that we've been needing. Okay, we've got a bunch of good stuff. And we hope you had a good time coming to the junkyard with us today and learning some of the things that you can buy and things you shouldn't buy in the junkyard. For example, don't buy an old water pump in the junkyard, buy a new one. But hard parts you can buy, like this distributor housing. We had a broken distributor housing. This is an HEI distributor, and we needed a housing for it. We picked it up in the junkyard, and it'll work fine. And you want to develop a relationship with the guy there just like we did. And if you take good care of him and treat him right, he'll treat you right and save you some money on some parts.
Well, Sam, I hate to tell you this, but we've run out of time. But we'll see you next time on Shadetree Mechanic.
Bye-bye. Let's go ahead and inventory this stuff and see what job we're going to do first.
This thing has got more.
For a copy of today's Shadetree Mechanic, call 1-800-456-0063 or write to the address on your screen. Refer to the offer number shown. The cost of the tape is $15.95 plus $3.50 shipping and handling.